Please welcome rainbowFRIGHT. Yeah. Oh, nice. Oh, what's up? Looking perfect. That
All
is
right,
perfect.
got the full setup. Great. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. Thanks for
Thank you,
doing this
thank you.
again.
Glad to be back.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
And you're in the proper gear, as you can see.
Yeah.
Looking really good. So we
Thank you.
we started talking a little bit about, again, because we've been fans of your page for a long time. So when we said let's figure out like how are we gonna get something else, and you came up with this topic. I had no idea that it was going to pull the thread, and then pretty much there'll be no sweater left of just like choosing how many films for this. I mean, wow, there was just so many options.
Yeah. It was fun coming up with the idea. Because
Yeah,
you
so
said summer, and I was like, okay, how can we get a bit more specific?
yeah, and
You
I thought
know?
that was a great idea too. So we drill it down one for it comes like something old, something new, something beachy, something campy, something vacationy.
And there's a,
Yep,
there's a lot
yep,
of there's a lot of
exactly.
stuff. It's a broad category.
Yeah.
I think summer camp is always a big one. But
Mm-hmm.
there's all kinds of
Yeah.
vacations.
All right, so Dure, we'll let you go first. We'll let you choose which one of the subtopics. So this is the horrors of summer, summer horror movies, one on the water, one in the camp, one on vacation. You choose which one you want to present first, and then Mario, you go second, and I'll go, and we'll just circle up again. So we got 9 films
Okay.
served up. Here we go.
Awesome. Surfed up. Good
So
choice of
that's
words.
it.
So my choice, and I'll go ahead and pick, horror and water. My movie is a horror movie on the beach called Psycho Beach Party from 2000. It's a hilarious horror comedy slasher movie. It's basically a parody of 1950s psychodramas and 60s beach movies and 80s horror slashers. So it's super over the top. The dialogue is ridiculous. The acting is purposely bad, but good at the same time.
Should I unpack my bongos? I intend to unpack mine.
We have our lead played by Lauren Ambrose. Her name is Florence slash Chicklet, and
Chiclet.
she she actually is just a girl who's interested in surfing with the boys, unlike her friend Marble Ann, played by Amy Adams, who's more interested in getting with the boys. So she ends up getting in with a group of boys, and they give her the name Chicklet, and it's kind of a play on the name Gidget from the novel Gidget that eventually was adapted into a film in the 50s too. So it's a play on that movie, specifically broadly, and, a bunch of other movies as well, obviously, but you'll see a lot of parallels with that movie. And yeah, it's just hilarious because Homegirl then starts to black out and she has split personality. She has these different personas that she puts on. And Lauren Ambrose is just phenomenal with going from character to character.
More than anything, I live for father fuck.
Florence,
I'm afraid you got the wrong girl. Florence is not my name.
who are you?
What you doing dressed up like a hoe? You out your mind?
Anne?
Ann? Who you be calling Ann? My name is Tylene. Tylene Carmichael Carmel.
And she should just be bigger than she is right now. I've loved her recently in
She was in
Servant, which
Servant.
had
Yeah.
yes. The first season or two was great of that, but then it did kind of start to drag on and get a bit convoluted. But luckily, I just actually discovered it not too long ago, or just started watching it not too long ago. I knew about it, but didn't really mess with it. But went through it pretty quickly. But had I been watching it year after year, I probably would have lost interest because of how slow it was. But she was great in it. Like, I was drawn to it mostly because of her and Leanne's relationship. And then she also just made her appearance in Yellow Jackets, which I absolutely am in
She's in
love
Yellow
with.
Jackets too. Wow.
Yeah, she just made her appearance in the last episode for like literally 10 seconds before the end. And she's the adult character of Van. So super excited to see her, in the next episode and that. But yeah, she's amazing.
6 Feet Under
And
too. She's a mega
yeah,
talent. I mean, she was great in
yep,
6 Feet Under, which doesn't
yeah.
feel like it should be that long ago. Because, like you said,
Yeah,
she should
she
be a
was a
huge
baby.
star. She was so young
Yeah,
then.
Yeah, yep. So when she has these blackouts, people are murdered, and she starts to think that maybe, she could be the one committing these murders. And yeah, it's just hilarious. And it's over the top, and it's not a movie that I would naturally, be drawn toward, but the cast is fun and the music is fun. And I think you guys would appreciate this. A lot of the music was performed and written by a band called Los Straitjackets, and they wear Mexican wrestling masks
I
when they
know of them.
perform.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Oh man.
Yes, they are actually featured in the movie too toward the end when they had their big beach party showdown dance off.
I'm pretty sure I've seen this. I remember this. This was one of those like Showtime movies that used to come on all month long, and you catch bits of it. I didn't realize this was Amy
Yeah.
Adams here, right there, though.
Yep.
Wasn't this like it's like got that 1950s Frankie and Annette kind of vibe, right? That's what they're spoofing on.
Yeah, exactly. And just, over the top and then raunchy, like, the PG stuff that you would see in the 50s and 60s, now just extra raunchy with, not super graphic, but fairly graphic sex scenes and things. So it's hilarious.
I feel like Kristen Wiig's character on SNL when she's in Target, when she just like she sees the customer got something good and just wants to get up and walk away because I want to watch this movie right now. Because hands down, this is already the best title of the night, Psycho Beach Bar. Like how great of a title that is. Just that.
Yep. The character who plays the detective, it's a drag queen actually, who's a writer director, and he wrote and directed the play that he'd been performing for at least 20 years before he adapted it into this movie. So he was actually the star in the play and played Chicklet. And and he decided when he was going to shoot the film that he wasn't going to play her because it just wouldn't have looked right on film versus on stage, and that's why they went with somebody else who would look more like a 16-year-old. But yeah, it's super cool to know that it was on off Broadway for a couple of decades before it was a movie. So
This
I
would-
can see that. Yeah, that's
yeah,
I can totally see that.
that being on off Broadway.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
yeah, so that had Lauren Ambrose, Thomas Gibson, Amy Adams. That feels like 2000 casting too. Nicholas Brendan, which I
Yeah.
believe he was from Buffy, right? So that feels like even that perfect. That was that group that
Yeah.
got casted a lot. Very good pick. Really good pick. My water one is going to sound like my vacation one. But
Okay.
but we're going to stick with the water one. The thumbnail was very serendipitous. It kind of gave it away. I'm going with a double feature of both Creepshow stories on water because to me, something to tide over. You see the gifts, you see, Ted Danson, you see Leslie Nielsen. It's very, when you think Creepshow, you think of his head in the water. It stuck with me at a very young age and I remembered. So I was a big fan of Creepshow when it came out. Like I remember seeing it and I was very psyched for the second one, but it was just, to me, I had already seen Leslie Nielsen in Airplane. You'd already seen him in Police Squad. So this was such a departure that by the time you saw it and you're like, wait, that's the guy from Airplane in there with the guy from Cheers. But it's like a horror movie and it's like a revenge fantasy. And then just the thought, the whole thing of just, I think we all have that buried alive fear, right? Of just like not being able to move your arms. But then the thought of like the crabs and then like the water coming at you. Very, very unsettling at that age, but it stuck with me. And then now I'm a huge fan of it. And then Creepshow 2 came out. Creepshow 1 was 82. Creepshow 2 was 87. There was a whole backstory of what happened with Creepshow 2. It was one of those productions that went off the rails. They had 5 stories. One of them included bowling zombies going for revenge. They tossed all of those out. But the one they stuck with was the raft. And to me, the raft was terrifying because when it's raining, and ironically, later on in Unbreakable, they had that scene when the pool has those covers and then you always have this fear you're going to fall in and then get wrapped up in the cover and drown. That's what the raft
Yeah.
felt like to me. The raft of just having this whole feeling that if you just barely even touch this thing, it's going to basically eat your skin alive. And then you have exactly what some people are thinking, like, I'm pretty fast. Can I make it to shore quick enough? And then hearing the backstory of this. So the backstory was they were trying to get a tax credit. They were filming in Arizona and they were filming in Maine, to appease one of the stories for Stephen King. And the other two stories are great. Old Chief Woodenhead and Thanks for the Ride Lady, the hitchhiker. But they filmed in Arizona the raft because I was like, it's perfect because it's always hot there. Well, they had like an unusually big rainstorm that opened up like an underground reservoir, and the water was like 45 degrees, and one of the actors actually got hypothermia filming that scene. So like I rewatched it again today and just like I wanted to just see. I think that added to the performance that you saw, like how tense they really were. And then again, it was just such a simple premise, right? They just drive up to the lake, swim out to this raft, and then they're trapped, and then they're just screwed. And then there was also a lot of 80s stuff that probably would not fly today that actually happened on that raft. That you're like, oh, I don't know. That's you couldn't get away with that, and that was very Revenge of the Nerds crime edition. They're like, no, you can't do that. So. But it was really good that, especially that last tent scene, I won't give the spoiler, when somebody, of course, makes the break for it and they try to make it to shore before they do that. So I think that On the Water, Creepshow 1 and Creepshow 2, if you just watch those stories back to back, that's a really fun double feature of On the Water horror.
Great picks. Yeah,
Yes.
I love those.
But yeah, it's a really fun ride. But the one that really, the raft, swimming in the pool, similar to the Jaws vibes, like how fast can you get out of the water? And Thanks for the Ride Lady. Anytime you're driving at 2 a.m. and you see anyone on the side of the road, that Thanks for the Ride always kind of stuck in my head.
Yeah, it's really, really hard just to pick a top favorite.
No, yeah.
One,
This is I feel like all the choices, unless it's Jaws, is going to have some kind of asterisk. It'll have some kind.
We get it.
Okay, I need to add a sidebar since I
Okay.
felt unprepared for the next
Yes,
one.
sidebar.
I think if I had to pick another beach horror movie, unconventional beach horror movie,
Yeah.
y'all might have seen this recently, The Lighthouse.
Oh,
Yeah.
Did you see The
Eggers, right?
Lighthouse? Yeah. I forgot his name.
I loved
Eggers.
it.
This is like this is a horror movie about like having a roommate in a lot of ways. And like it's you watch this and you think that it's really striving for creepy and all that, but there's just comedy elements that jump out of nowhere
Oh yeah.
and make it even creepier. Anyway,
Yeah.
The Lighthouse is a beach horror movie. Watch that one.
it is. That's
There you go.
where lighthouses live. So we had Psycho Beach Party, The Lighthouse, and Creepshow double feature. And we'll have. So were you going to use The Final Girls as your camping horror?
Let's just forget that happened.
Rainbow, what do you think? You want to move to a camp?
Yeah, camping next.
All right, camping. Let's do it.
My pick for camping is The Ritual from 2017. I just absolutely love this movie. It's set in Sweden, but they shot it in Romania. And it's just about 4 friends who go out into the woods camping in honor of their friend who had passed away in a convenience store robbery that his friend was a witness to, who actually didn't help him. So when these friends go out camping, he's basically haunted by his actions and his friend's death. And so each friend also has their own, turmoil going on within them. So when they're in the woods, that's kind of what is plaguing them because of this deity that is living in the woods, and this creature is one of the absolute best creatures, of the century, really. Honestly, it's just so awesome, and I love seeing it every time. You don't get to see it too much. You see it mostly toward the end, but just the whole concept and everything I just love. So yeah, they're just a bunch of fellas stuck in the woods, and they just get knocked off one by one, and it's awesome.
That sounds great. Again, yeah, we're all for, less is more. Show it a little bit less.
Yeah.
Let our imagination do the talking.
Adam says David Bruckner's a great director. Adam would know. He's looking at his IMDb here. He did The Signal. Do you remember The Signal?
I need to see that. I saw that, and he also did Hellraiser, which I enjoy.
He did the new Hellraiser.
And
Oh, he did the new Hellraiser?
Yeah.
which I like.
And let's see, he did a
And then-
segment in the original VHS.
Oh, I did
Yeah.
not know that.
I don't know which one he did.
I did see the Night House.
Amateur
I
Night.
didn't know-
Amateur
I don't know which one-
Night?
I don't know which one
Yeah.
that is. Do you know which one that is?
No.
I remember the first
just
VHS. I don't recall that segment. He directed for Creepshow. Did a few episodes of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's legit. I've never seen this one, Talk Show. Oh, that's a short.
The Night House had a great vibe. That was definitely during like lockdown time, but I do remember seeing that, and I just liked the whole aesthetic that it created in there. It had that. So yeah, I'm a fan of his. So if he did this is definitely this is worth going back and checking out.
I remember hearing about this movie, and it just got by me. It was a Netflix movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, it got bought by Netflix for distribution when it premiered at which festival here? The Toronto Film
Oh yeah,
Festival.
Toronto.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, released in the UK on October 13th by E1.
Yeah.
So it didn't. So it never had it didn't have a theatrical run here. It had a theatrical run and then went to
Yeah.
Netflix. Got
Yep.
it.
Sidebar: Netflix should go ahead and just buy theaters, so we can go watch
Sure.
Netflix movies in the theaters. Because
Yeah.
I would have liked to see that in the theater.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like Netflix movies, they just disappear. They get buried under whatever. Karate
Yeah.
Kid.
Yeah. Well, people hate on just streaming movies in the first place just because they just want to hate on the streaming platforms in the first place. So they don't want to give those movies as much a chance as they would any other movie.
Here's my pitch: Netflix, bring back dollar theaters and show your movies
Yeah.
there. Give us that,
There you
and
go.
we'll go buy snacks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, then yeah, just make money on your snacks. I'll
Yeah.
buy those Netflix branded Sour Patch
We'll do
Kids. I don't care.
Give us sell the memberships, and you can go watch Netflix at the theater instead of at home.
All right, Mario, you're up. We're camping now.
We're doing camping.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Adam said, are we talking about tent camping or summer camp movies? I think both. I
Both?
think it
Yeah.
can fall into either one.
Well, I'll tell you what. In this particular instance, I'm talking about summer camping, and this is probably one we should have left out. If I would have got the Jaws parameters ahead of time and all that stuff, I might have left this one out. But I think a lot of people have. I think a lot of people have not seen this one. This is just one that I think maybe just watch because it's pretty much everything in this movie is wholly inappropriate today. And nothing of it is probably watchable, or you don't even want to tell anybody that it happened in a movie you watched. Is Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah.
I'm sure you knew
yep,
that's right.
Yep. I knew one of y'all were gonna say it. So
It has to be.
there it is.
It has to be. Our good friend Felicia Rose, friend of the
That's
show.
right. Yes, friend of the show.
Oh, nice.
We were totally stalking her that day.
Yeah.
You're going to be a friend of the show. You just don't know it yet.
Look, the whole movie, if you watch the movie, like say you never saw the ending, basically the last shot of the movie, it's pretty terrible, honestly. A lot of it's really, really bad. And there's just stuff in there it's grotesque. Like the chef who is a pedophile as well.
Yes.
Chef.
God.
Yes.
God.
And he ends up getting killed with boiling cream corn or something.
Yes.
Loved it.
So I don't know. I think that this movie remains forever just disturbing for that final shot, which I don't know. I never saw it coming.
No.
I never saw it coming. And it
no
looks
way.
even weirder because it's like the way they did the effect,
Right.
It's like they turned Felicia Rose's head into like a lion head on top of this tiny body. I think Sleepaway Camp is one you got to keep it in the arsenal of summer movies. It's got to be in there
Yeah. I
when you
agree.
make your playlist. It's short.
It's very shady. It's quicker than a hiccup.
Yeah.
For sure. You know, we got her to reshare one of our posts because I posted that, like, somewhat of that right before the image cut off, but then I put it to the crying game music because I was like, this was before the crying game reveal. I was like, how come growing up, like, people were like, oh, did you see the crying game? This is what people should have continued to talk about. But this was like being chatted about on the underground circuit. But this happened before the crying game. They have jurisdiction of that twist ending that nobody saw coming. That she still makes a great living at because she's fun. Yeah. Like she's great in person. She's always on Joe Bob. She'll appear on there, so it's cool that you have the people that kind of like shoo away from stuff that they've done in the past, and the ones that embrace it, I feel like are rewarded by the fans for it. Yeah,
and this in a way was sort of an early spoof movie. This is spoofing the original Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
You got all kinds of Friday the 13th spoofs after that one got over.
Yeah.
Because obviously shooting in the woods is cheap.
Yep.
You don't need a whole lot of whole lot of production value there.
Yeah.
Just trees. And like a cool weapon.
All right, that's a good pick. That's a very good pick. So again, I told you I feel like all my picks kind of double dip. This one is technically a vacation movie that turned into unintentional camping. And Rainbow, you already brought it up, and I'm talking about the 1977 film The Hills Have Eyes. Because that one, again, I was watching these movies, and if you do the math, it's like at a very impressionable age. Like, where were your parents? But, but I mean, Michael Berryman, that was his second movie, just really stuck with you, like, in your head. Like, obviously you knew his face every time you saw him in any movies that came afterwards. You just obviously, you're gonna spot him.
This guy?
Yeah, that's him, man.
Isn't he like a college professor, or he was a college professor?
Yeah, he's super intelligent. He actually also the ailment that he has he doesn't have any sweat glands. So filming The Hills Have Eyes out there, they were struggling to make sure that he didn't get a heat stroke, so they had to take extra precaution with him because obviously they were shooting in the middle of a desert. So good. Early Wes Craven, when it felt this was 70s horror, right? So this is when it was a little less fun. So I'm going to just bring up a few of the scenes that really stuck with me. And I don't remember if, obviously you remember the names. I mean, Papa Jupe, they had all their names named after the planets. But when the one brother broke into the camper, which is camping, and he bit off the canary's head and then drank the water. Drank it like water.
He drank canary water?
No, sorry. He bit off the canary's head and drank the blood like water. Like, he literally just, like, drank it. That was, like, one of the ones that really, like, I don't even know if you can do that anymore. Even though it's clearly, well, I hope it was a work. But that one stuck in my head. And then just the dogs. The dogs, Beauty and the Beast. Obviously, that was hard. But then I just remember... Yeah, Beauty. Yeah, Beauty. And I just remember, and I remember getting my dogs, like, get the dogs in the house. Get the dogs in the house. Because it was just, like, so terrible. Like, this movie was, like, chilling at the time. And just the ending was, like, really, really, like, stuck with you because you just realized that they just went full bore. Like, they just had everything that they had to do to combat this, like, a real family versus this cannibal family. And then in the end, you had to almost resort to the cannibalistic methods to save your family. That's terrifying. This wasn't fun horror this was not the one like this is fun. But I think if you watch it for what it is, it really will stick with you.
Early Wes Craven was really brutal.
Yeah.
That and Last House on the Left are
yeah, this was exactly it, right? This has that same Last House on the Left vibe. So,
after that, yeah.
Oof.
Because he actually didn't even want to do horror after Last House on the Left, and he couldn't find producers to produce anything that wasn't horror. And so then he was like, fine, all right, you guys want horror? Here's, The Hills Have Eyes. Here's some more disturbing shit for you. So, yeah.
He was one of those old school, real 1970s journeyman directors. Like he came to this from porn.
Yeah.
He did porn for gigs. Because
Yep.
that was just what you
Yeah.
did. If you wanted to be a director, you had to cut your teeth on porn because they had film.
Yeah.
They had film and they had cameras, you know. It wasn't like now we can just shoot a film on your phone. So the pornos had all this film stock and they had cameras, so that's how you would train and eventually you'd graduate to horror movies.
I would
He
like
even
to get.
has one of his porn films listed on IMDb. It's funny.
Oh, does it
There's
really?
one credit at the very bottom. Yep.
I mean, Stallone was in porn.
Yes, Stallone was. All right, so let's do our quick review. So we had the rituals, we had Hills Have Eyes, and we had the OG Sleepaway Camp for our camping films. All great picks. All right, next round we are going with vacation films. So Rainbow, we'll start with you.
All right. One of my favorite movies of all time, an adaptation of a novel, and the writer of the novel also wrote the screenplay, and that is 2008's The Ruins.
Yes.
And yes, The Ruins.
Ruins is
It
great.
stars Jenna Malone, who is awesome. Basically, these kids on vacation, they have one last night overseas before they go back home, and this dude offers them to go to some Mayan ruins. And, once they get there, the locals don't let them leave, and they don't understand why, but they soon realize that it's because they've contaminated themselves by touching these plants that you see behind them, which are poisonous, and these plants are just so creepy. They are basically murderous plants, but in the movie, they really only kill one person, and everybody else is just kind of killing one another or themselves because these plants are just infiltrating their bodies and making weird noises and are just evil as plants. And it's just so gruesome. It doesn't totally rely on the gore. It's also a psychological thriller, a psychological ride, and it's wonderful. It's a great movie, and I fall in love with it more each time I watch it. And I've watched it so many times.
No, it's not in our space. What? Fine, it was inside her.
Show me my legs.
Okay,
Show me them.
okay.
It's great.
I think finding a way to, again, tapping into these primal fears that we all have kind of like embedded in our brains. And the ruins is one of that, whether you're getting into like feeling exposed or the opposite of that of claustrophobia. Like when you find a way to narrate your story throughout one of those primal fears, you'll never go wrong. You'll never go wrong. Because again, you don't have to do too much explaining. It just is, and then you just feel it, right?
Yes.
So
Because with these plants, they're, it's like a play on real life. This could actually happen, or at least in a few hundred years. And it could in some places that we haven't explored yet on this planet, in the ocean or elsewhere. And, we have these plants who are mimicking what they hear, like a cell phone ringing or somebody calling out somebody's name. And we've recently just learned, like literally a couple of weeks ago in the news, we've learned that plants actually make noise when they need water, when they're dehydrated.
Really? I didn't see that.
Yes. And so that just makes this movie that much more creepy because we already have Venus flytraps and other carnivorous plants in real life, So yeah, playing on that, reality, that grounded in reality aspect, and the real reality of going abroad and never coming home.
Right, that's another one.
So yeah, it's crazy.
And they got that real fungus from The Last of Us now. You read about this, right?
No,
yeah,
no.
That's a shoot. It's real.
Wait, what?
It's out there. It's actually happening now. It's like spreading. Google it.
Oh no.
TikTok it. It's there. I'm sure kids are talking about it.
Oh, you know what?
Always something.
Yeah. I like the idea of just, again, and now it's bringing it closer to home, but I feel like anytime there was like a space movie or any going in the unknown lands, they always had like, be careful, even something as simple as the plants can kill you. They even brought that up in Jurassic Park, right? So actually to bring it a little bit closer to our reality of just like going on a vacation and going on, and a side jaunt and to get trapped there with something so bizarre like that. Mm-hmm. Maybe they found a way to do what M. Night Shyamalan was trying to do in The Happening. Right? Didn't the plants try to fight, but there was a different type of attack on people. But remember, to protect the bees, the plants started fighting back. Maybe he was a little bit more ahead of his time than people give him credit for, right? Everyone just kind of laughs about, what?
Oh, I love The Happening. Happening is wonderful.
Yeah. Ugh. So everyone always remembers the Mark Wahlberg stuff, but if you think about it, I mean, it worked. I think it's worth rewatching, because if there's anything that could attack us, and if we became a threat, it would be the things that actually help us breathe. If all of a sudden we became a threat to them, like, guess what? You're not breathing anymore, or just anything you can kind of do. It's not as far fetched as Hollywood would have had you believe originally. So that's a good pick.
Also, that part where the guy talks about hot dogs for like 10 minutes is really good. You should watch it just for that.
All right, Mario, what do you got? Vacation horror movie.
I like this vacation horror movie because it spawned its own sort of like genre. Not even a genre, but just a phrase that people use to describe a genre movie, I think whenever that happens, that's big. It brought us Eli Roth into the world. Well, he did other stuff before them, but I think this is when he really got over. But it has to be Hostel.
Oh, yeah.
Hostel is like one of the ultimate vacation movies, just like you were talking about earlier, Rainbow, but going out of the country and never coming back, and no one knows where you are. It's almost like this is a horror story about that.
Yeah.
Going into a foreign what country are they even in? Romania? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was one of the Eastern Bloc countries, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah. Just one of these Eastern Bloc countries where you're just going to raves and all the women are beautiful and it's great, but you end up becoming just like fodder for the rich Europeans to just murder. And it originated the term torture porn.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely gave rise to that.
Is it torture porn though? I mean, I feel like it's satirical.
I don't think it was in that first one for sure. I think, like you said, he was trying to create a message. I think all the follow-ups that may have not been trying to create that same message, and then you get a whole group of them, and then, of course, being human beings, we got to organize things and like put them all in a bucket. Now that's all torture porn. Where if that movie would have just stood alone by itself, just one film, that term never would have existed. It just would have been its own thing. I think it just had a lot of copycats that kind of jumped at it. And I don't even think I saw the second Hostel.
The second one is good. I can't remember everything about it, but it was equally good.
I think probably Saw and Hostel coming out so close together kind of made that a thing, torture porn. And then, along with all the sequels that came after it and the copycats that came after the both of them.
I'm pretty sure there's copycat hostels out there that aren't affiliated at all. They made like Hostel 2000 or whatever.
Then that's a good point. The same thing with Saw. Like, if Saw 1 would have just stayed by itself, that was such a cerebral movie at the time as well, that it was just mind fucking you. Like, you had no idea what was going on, and then the way that it ended, and then you got Carrie Elways, and just like seeing him in after seeing him in Princess Bride and seeing him in such a subdued, I feel like it was attacking you on all different levels.
Yeah.
As you wish. When he was talking to one of the podcasts that I was listening to with him on it, that History of Horror, he was talking about like he never even went back and watched it after they kind of took the name and kind of ran with it. He just kind of moved on to it. But he needs some credit for how much he's just as big of a mark for films, but horror films specifically, than with Quentin Tarantino. Like, I feel like when you're listening to him Edgar Wright and QT, like they duel, and he's in there with the best of them. Like I thought he was gonna get into like a brawl with Jamie Lee Curtis on the one I was listening to last when the like he sticks to his guns, and he's a really fun filmmaker in that sense, and I'm really looking forward to Thanksgiving, which is now finally coming to fruition. But he doesn't. I don't know if he gets all the credit that he deserves. He should. He's definitely up there for me.
Okay, I just searched torture porn movies, and you don't want to know what came.
Yeah.
So I'm just,
Oh no, can't do that. Can't do that.
Adam says it became such a genre, I got tired and people stopped doing it. Yeah, that's true. Especially after Saw 10.
Yeah, I did. Did you guys see the one that Chris Rock did? That was kind of like a.
I still need to see Spiral because
Spiral.
yes, there's another one coming out, but I don't know why I have taken so long to watch it. But looking forward to watching. I mean, I've enjoyed all of the movies, all the Saw movies, to be honest. So I'm down for this next one that's coming out.
Oh, Adam says I saw a lot of torture porn that never saw the light of day. I mean, Adam sees a lot of movies no one ever sees.
Oh no. Oh no.
I do want to see Spiral. I do. Like I felt like that was going to take it in. It almost had. It felt a little bit like Seven to me, like the way that Chris Rock was dressed. And I thought, okay, this could be something different. I didn't remember having any heat with the Saw. I just remember like I just stopped watching them. Not like for no specific reason other than I guess I just didn't keep up. But all right, that's a good pick. That is definitely that falls into Vacation one. So I'm going to confuse the issue again, just like I've been doing, that this one easily, totally should have just been Horror on Water. But I wanted to do Creepshow. So I'm going on a technicality that this is technically a vacation movie, and it's a shark movie that is not Jaws. It's my second favorite shark movie. It's The Shallows. I think this movie... similar, and you're probably seeing the theme with me that just being terrified of drowning and getting caught in the water off guard. But this is
If you can't tell, Jeff grew up near the water.
But I think this movie was sneaky good, and it was so simple. It almost had the same vibe as like you would say Tom Hanks like performing in Castaway. That there was hardly any actors in this movie, and just to get trapped out. Not that far from shore is what got me. You know, just going to the beach, growing up, you always just assume you're safe if you're not that far from shore. So for her to just be surfing and just only like 200 yards from shore, and then seeing a dead whale and then the shark going after her there, it was great. The only heat that I have with this movie is they probably should have showed the shark less. Like there was a couple of times when they went for the jump scare and they had the shark do the jump out of the water like they do in Shark Week. I don't think they even needed to do that. I think they almost there's another terrifying shark movie which I don't like because it was a little too scary. Was Open Water when they.
I was just about to say Open Water.
I almost was gonna put that on my list.
That was my runner-up.
Terrifying. Absolutely
I saw
terrifying.
that in the theater and loved the shit out of it. In college, I loved it.
How haunting was that ending? To me, that was one of the most haunting. And if you've ever been in the ocean and you get bit by those fish, you feel getting bit. Like I remember getting bit on the nipple.
Ooh.
And I was like, what is biting my
By
nipple?
a shark?
No, not by a shark, by like a fish. Just a fish biting. And I was like, what is happening? So just the open water, that feel of just like they're just gonna nibble on you for a while. That's scary. But the sharks in open water were scarier because you just saw like what you see with sharks in real life. They just bump, or you just see like a tail. Like they didn't.
Yeah.
So that's all they really needed to do when she was like going from the coral, from the dinghy, trying to make it. You didn't really need to show that much. But what they did show, which is more terrifying to me, was just the little injuries that you get in the ocean that are just like coral is like swimming with razor blades. And they cut you so easy. So when she stepped on that coral and she screamed or she scrapes it, like, so you're just putting more blood, literally putting more blood in the water. And you just feel like you're just going to make it worse because if the blood's there, the shark's not going to go away. It's just going to hang out. And I remember, you know, when I was in Hawaii and I had that same feeling, we were diving off. I cut my foot on there, and then you just turn, and all you see is like dark blue. It's not like something you see on the Travel Channel. It's like you see it's blue, but it's very gray. Like you're just waiting for this dark silhouette to start coming closer. So when my toes started bleeding, it's like, I'm getting the fuck out of the water, man, because I'm bleeding. So that feeling of the shallows of being so close and her just taking a beat. And then just, again, we talk about being exposed. She has nothing. Like you can't even do the Leonardo DiCaprio at the beach. He's like, I'm going to stab the shark in the neck. Like there's nothing. You can't even do like the superficial fight back. You're just stuck. So to me, she's totally exposed, sitting on a rock, very tempted like the raft to try to make the swim for it. But you're not going to outswim a shark. Blake Lively, you know, it's survival horror. But to me, I thought her performance actually was really well too done. She did a really good job. Again, just for those little superficial injuries of being in the water and like scrapes and cuts and bites and you're getting bit.
The sun and salt.
Yes. And just like getting that salt, like you get it like a lung full of salt water or your eyes get salt water, but then you get it in the cut and it burns. Like everything about that is already terrifying. And then they just threw a shark on top of that.
I literally can't have salt water in my eyes. So anything beyond getting salt water in my eyes, I'm dead. You know, I'm not going to survive.
That's a horror movie right there. Salt water in your eyes for 90 minutes.
Seriously.
All right. And so to circle back, we had The Ruins, right? Vacation horror. And then we had Hostel. And then we had The Shallows, even though there could have been a water one, but I went with Vacation. It's a pretty solid run of summer movies. Like if you watch just all of that, you're gonna have a great summer of 2023. All right, DeRay, thanks so much. Do appreciate that. Mario, what do we got cooking?
We're here every Wednesday, folks.
We're here.
If you tuned in for the
Wednesday.
first time tonight, tune in every Wednesday. We're here at 7 p.m.
We do. Yes, I appreciate you.
You can watch wrestling after. Put on your DVRs.
That's right.
Record wrestling. Watch it after this show. Avoid spoilers.
For sure. Yeah, we've been trying to, again, DeRay, you kind of blazed the path for us as well, like teaching us, like reaching out to other YouTubers and having these dual shows are really good because there's some interesting statistics on like the amount of videos that I sent to Mario, and I'll send it to you on how many get each click. So again, Planet of the Apes together strong. We bind together, we'll get those clicks. We'll get that ad revenue from their clutches.
There you go.
We need that Blue Chew money.
Yes, Blue Chew.
Whatever you need, man. Whatever you need.
Yes.
Blue Chew, deodorant, whatever. Ball trimmers. We'll sell your ball trimmers.
I mean, Blue Chew's got the money, so I mean, I'll sell me some Blue Chew. I don't care.
That's right.
People love it.
They sponsor everything.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thanks again, DeRay, and thanks for folks tuning in, and have a scary ass summer.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
See you soon.
Peace.
You